After 7 years of waiting, we are finally getting LEGO Fortnite sets, and while this is great and all, they definitely have some issues. From the lack of sets based off of any of the iconic locations from the game, to the fact that only one of these sets has any minifigures, this wave of sets leaves a lot to be desired. Which is why today, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of the LEGO design team, and hopefully try and fix LEGO Fortnite. As always, the first thing that I had to do was actually buy the sets, so I got them right after school on release day, and luckily the LEGO store was practically empty, which is almost unheard of, so I was able to be in and out in less than 10 minutes. Anyway, when I got home, I immediately started building. The 3 sets that I got were the Durrburger, the Loot Llama, and the Battle Bus. I also considered buying the Peely Bone set, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on sale at some point, so I decided to hold out until then. I also got 2 free promotional sets, those being the Bright Bomber Brickheads and a pumpkin for Halloween. The first set that I built was the Loot Llama, and personally, I think the set is basically perfect. It looks just like the in-game version and is exceptionally well priced, coming in at only $40 for 700 pieces. If I were to make any changes, I maybe would have included some different items to replace these random ones, such as a medkit or minis. I also think that it would have been cool to get a minifig scale Loot Llama, because that's what LEGO does for other sets like this, such as the buildable R2-D2 or buildable Baby Yoda, but overall, I think the set is basically perfect. Next is the buildable Durrburger, and while this is definitely my least favorite of all the sets, it does a good job of capturing the look of the source material, and is still a cool little display piece that doesn't take up too much space, and it even has some pretty cool building techniques to achieve a very accurate looking burger build. However, I do think that this set suffers from a severe lack of minifigures, which I think would have made it much more desirable for fans of all ages, but specifically younger fans who can't afford the Battle Bus set. To fix this, my first idea is to include the Drift minifigure in this set rather than in the Battle Bus set, since he was featured prominently in the Season 5 promotional material alongside the Durrburger. My other idea would be to go with a food fight LTM theme like I did with the Greasy Grove set that I made a while back, and include minifigures for Tomato Head and Beef Boss. I think that either one of these options, and maybe a chest and some items, would really improve this set and definitely be much more appealing to fans of LEGO and Fortnite. But the last set is the one that I'm sure most of y'all are here for, the Battle Bus. This is the only one of the sets to include minifigures, and it is quite the lineup. The minifigures included are a default skin, Adventure Peely, Meowscles, Raven, Bright Bomber, Cuddle Team Leader, Drift, Cube Assassin, and Trespasser Elite. Now, the designs for these figures are all pretty solid. However, I think some of the choices were very odd. For example, including this version of Jonesy rather than the iconic OG version is very odd in my opinion. Luckily, I've designed a LEGO minifigure version of the OG Jonesy, and I think something like this would have been a much better fit for this set. I also think that including this random variant of Peely is quite strange, because the regular version is so much more recognizable and would have cost less to produce due to a lack of detail, so if it were up to me, Adventure Peely would be swapped out for Season 8 Peely. The other 2 figures that really stand out to me are these 2 random skins that I've never heard of before in my life. They're pretty neat designs, I will admit, but I can't remember the last time I actually saw someone use one of these skins in-game. I'm sure these were included for some reason, possibly because they're newer than the other skins and they don't require any new molds, but there are still so many better and more iconic skins to choose from without having to create new pieces. For example, including one of the soccer skins would be very simple, as well as being instantly recognizable, so I'd swap out the Cube Assassin for the Clinical Crosser skin. And then rather than swapping out the Trespasser Elite skin for a different figure, I'd leave the minifig count at 8 and make some additions to the build instead. The build for the Battle Bus is quite good and very accurate to the game, so I wouldn't actually change the bus itself. Rather, I think it would make sense to include a couple of gliders so that you can have your figures drop out of the bus. They wouldn't necessarily need to be very complex either, just a default glider and a basic wind umbrella would be great and add a lot to the set. And I also think some different pickaxes would be great to have, as the few default ones that we have right now are kind of boring. So what I think LEGO should have done is instead swap out Bright Bomber's pickaxe for the Rainbow Smash pickaxe, which is probably the most iconic one in all of Fortnite. Including these cosmetic items would really improve this set, adding some variation to the repetitive selection of accessories that was included. Okay, so those were just a few adjustments that I would have made to the sets that we did get, but what about the ones that we didn't? I don't know about y'all, but when I heard that LEGO was making Fortnite sets, I thought that we'd be getting sets based off of all of the most iconic locations from the game. And yet, we didn't get a single gameplay based set other than the battle bus, but the only gameplay involved with that is pressing the spacebar at the beginning of every game, so that hardly even counts. So LEGO, if y'all are listening, start taking notes, because I've planned out the next 2 years of LEGO Fortnite, trying to be as realistic as possible in my set and minifigure selections. I'm just going to assume that these sets would have a similar budget to the ones that we just got, so each year we'll have 4 sets of similar sizes to the ones from this year. So starting off, I decided to base the second wave of sets exclusively on Chapter 1, since it is the most well-known and iconic era of Fortnite. Starting off with the small set, I think a golf cart would be perfect. It's not too big and is instantly recognizable to anyone who's played Fortnite before. 2 figures would make sense for a small $15 to $20 set like this. Realistically, it'd be something along the lines of a random default skin and a reused figure from the battle bus, like Drift for example. I think that the Viking village would make for a great $40 to $60 medium scale set, with the build consisting of the Viking ship and possibly a couple of the buildings surrounding it. A set this size would probably have around 4 minifigures, and obviously it would include the Ragnarok skin from Chapter 5, what with the Viking theme and all, and then I think another OG Battle Pass skin like Rustlord would fit pretty well for a set like this. Then I'd go ahead and include a couple of default skins as well, because realistically I think the default skins should be pretty common in all these sets. Now the third set that I'd include in this second wave of sets is Retail Row, as it's one of the most iconic and recognizable locations in the game and has been around since Fortnite Battle Royale started. This set would include some of the shops like the taco shop and the grocery store, and it would include details such as the vending machine inside of the grocery store and one of the no dancing signs that were all over the Chapter 1 map. I'd say that the set would probably include around 6 minifigures, and off the top of my head I think that a good selection would look something like Raptor, Wildcard, Red Knight, Omega, Nogops, and a random default skin, which I think gives a nice selection of popular skins from Chapter 1. The biggest set for the second wave would be none other than Tilted Towers, and I think a set similar to the one that I made a while back would be great, as there's clearly a demand for it. This is the most iconic location in all of Fortnite history, and it would be a real missed opportunity to never make it into a set. Obviously, with a set like this, LEGO would have to go all out for the minifig selection, so shooting for around 12 minifigures, some of the ones that I think that they just have to include would be Renegade Raider, Black Knight, the OG John Wick skin, and Jonesy, just to name a few. And then just spitballing for some of the rest, I think that Dark Voyager, Blue Team Leader, Rogue Agent, Aerial Assault Trooper, Elite Agent, Ghoul Trooper, and Ice King would all be great inclusions. Moving on to the third wave, and I think this one would be split evenly between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 sets, with each chapter getting 2 sets in the wave. The first set is one that I think would be very popular, and that is a buildable figure of the Mecha Team Leader. The Season 9 event is widely regarded as one of Fortnite's best, so I think that this would be a perfect way to utilize the new buildable figures that LEGO has seemed obsessed with lately. And they could even throw in a minifig version of the skin, but even without this, it would be a great $20 set. Then for the first of the Chapter 2 sets, I think that much like the golf cart from the previous batch of sets, a boat would make a great smaller set. And in addition to the boat, I think that a small fishing dock like the one found at Misty Meadows would really round out this set. For the figures, I'd include 8-Ball, Journey, and Fish Stick, the first two being from the Chapter 2 Season 1 Battle Pass, and Fish Stick being a wildly popular water-related skin. Now with Halloween coming up, I figured a Season 6 related set would be appropriate to include, so I opted for the Cube Island. I think that this would be perfect. It's instantly recognizable and would be a great way to include Kevin the Cube, who is pretty integral to the Fortnite storyline. I designed it to be slightly downscaled, but it can still fit figures inside the house and in the little place underneath it. The figures I'd include are Skull Trooper, Brainiac, Calamity, and a default skin. Finally, the last set in this wave of sets would be the Agency, which is probably the most iconic location in all of Chapter 2. This set would allow for some great play features like the portal potties and telephone booth changing stations, and would have plenty of space for your figures to roam, loot, and hide. The minifigure selection would obviously include Midas and some ghost agents, and then I think that it would also make sense to include some of the other Chapter 2 Season 2 Battle Pass skins, like Sky, Brutus, Agent Peely, and Tiantina. And oh yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm trying to stay away from any additional licenses, so no Deadpool or any other collab skins. I think that these 8 sets, or something along the lines of these 8 sets, would be a step in the right direction for LEGO Fortnite, and could even result in a long-lasting theme as successful as LEGO Fortnite if they stayed on the right track. I really think LEGO Fortnite has a lot of potential, and I hate to see it get wasted. But anyway, let me know down below what sets y'all would like to see from LEGO Fortnite, and with that, that's about all I have for you guys today. Have a great day, and go build something awesome.